Hello and welcome back. I'm Lincoln, and today's the 17th of October, which means the prompt for the day was bat. I'm going to put up the rest of the prompt list now. For anybody just joining us, you'll see that I have it broken up into weeks and days, so you guys can just pick a prompt, put them all together at the end of the week if you like. This sculpting challenge is all about learning new tools and techniques, and this one's no different. I'm going to teach you guys how to make fur really easy today. It's going to be near the end of the video, and I'll have it broken up into chapters as always. Hey, let's grab your iPad or other device, and let's go make a bat. Okay, I'm going to use the default sphere, and I know that's unusual. I normally don't, but it'll be perfect for this. Now you can see here, I already have something I was kind of playing around with, to see if I liked, and I really like the snout on this that I made, so we're going to make another one, show you how to do it. Come in here, grab a cylinder, throw it in the scene, turn on snap, and turn. Now I'll be going back and forth between speeding up and slowing down, I think, just to keep this video shorter, because this is going to be a pretty long video. Okay, that's pretty good right there for a start. And we will go ahead and subdivide and validate it, and I'm just going to start moving and shaping, and I'm just going to speed up for this part. So I'm just going to run through and use the masking brush. Now I like using the masking tool on something like this because it's easier to do a large portion faster, and here I'm just trying to decide how much I want to use. And if you click on the outside of your object on the screen, it'll flip your mask, and then if you tap on the mask, it'll blur it. So that's what I did there. And now just using the flatten brush, kind of knock everything down. You know, the cylinder makes a pretty good easy block to start with, and it's usually better than pulling out of the sphere, and it's simply because, you know, if you want to change the snout or change something up, you can change that out without having to change the whole head, which makes it a little bit nicer. And it's easier to work on smaller parts. You know, the more you break down your sculpt into smaller parts, the easier it gets sometimes. So here I'm just kind of doing a quick little shape, final little shaping here, and it kind of skipped ahead there. You can see where I pulled the mouth back as well, you know, just using the move brush. Now here I'm just using a tube and shaping the tongue, and that's fairly easy to do. You know, you've got a lot of options with the tube tool, and you can see here I'm using the gizmo to tweak things. Before you even validate, you can still shape it a lot more with the gizmo tool. So here, once I subdivide it, and here once I subdivide it, I can smooth it out then, and there I realized I had my crease tool on the sub, so it was adding instead of subtracting. So just validate the tongue and put it in there, and then the last step I'm going to do with the tongue is go back to solo on it, use the masking tool, and you can mask the back side of this and pull it down so it like fills up inside the mouth. Here just doing a quick shaping on the head, you know, just so it's not just a round ball. I want it to be fairly cartoony, but not quite that cartoony, so give it a little bit of shape. So here you can see how the scene menu works a little bit, and we'll, at the very end of the video, I'll leave a portion of it at regular speed so you can see how the scene menu works with the parent and children now. It's really nice. They keep saying they're going to release the new version, but they just haven't yet. They keep saying that they're going to, so hopefully it's soon. You know, the advantage to keeping all of your parts separate like this is it's so much easier to work with them. You can maneuver them around and move them and shape them, and then it's also much easier to paint them as well. Now at the end, I'm gonna actually take this whole bat and go save it, go and create a new scene and import the bat in. I end up voxel merging a bunch of the parts together so I can pose the bat. And here you can see, I had a couple different reference images in the back, and I didn't use them a ton for this, just kind of a quick posing, kind of see what they were all about. I'll have links below if you want to use these photos. Ones I got from, I think, Pexels and Unsplash, or it could have been Pixabay, one of those three. I'll have all the links below. So here, this is the one that I did use quite a bit, and was just so I could shape the wing, and just started out with a block, thinned it out, and you can see here, you can do the overlay, so it's almost like tracing paper. And I use the paintbrush on here, and I'm just painting on the edge of the wing just real quick, just to make it easier. And I'm just kind of a guide, so I kind of know where the arm was as well. And I added the thumb on there, which this bat doesn't have, but some bats have like huge thumb up there. So now that you have that, you can turn that off, and you have your trace on there, and then just go around with your trim brush and the lasso tool and just chop off the excess. And for some reason, I guess when I sped it up, it kind of messed it up. But what I did is on the wing there, I actually masked separate parts off and just used the move tool on the big size and just pulled up on it. So I'll go into something more like that in a different tutorial that's not quite as long as this. I might just do one of these days that's just on wings, but you'll get the pretty good gist of how it works on here. It's not too bad. I mean, once you cut it out, then it's just a matter of however you want to shape them. And it's just, this is just going through making tubes for all the fingers, because it's basically you wouldn't think it unless you actually look at the bat wing, but they have 5 fingers on there actually. It's kind of crazy looking where they're all stretched out because their arms are way longer than they should be in proportion to their body. And here, just not being terribly realistic, making points on the ends of the wings, and giving like a knuckle joint on each, just one knuckle joint on each finger, and kind of shaping the arm. And I touched the screen a couple times and kept having to go back and fix things because I kept touching something and it was throwing everything off. So just going through and shaping them. And these I kind of like to do individually. I mean, you could just clone one and bring it over, but it's kind of nice because sometimes you'll get a shape that you wouldn't get in any other way than doing it individually each time. So it's fine, it's pretty easy to do. And with the tube tool, you have your option of using the curve or the path. Most of these I use the path, and just kind of did a quick shape, point them at the end, still more knuckles, and I'll do the other finger and thumb and shape it more like a claw on the thumb. But I can see now, skipping it with me speeding this up, somehow I was cutting my clips off, and it shouldn't be, but that's what it was doing. So I left this portion at regular speed, and I wanted to do that because this is probably the most unique thing in on this whole sculpt is the hair. Now with this, it's pretty cool. You actually use the masking brush, and because the select mask, you don't have the option to use in the alpha. With the regular one you do. And here I just made one in Procreate out of one of the brushes, and it's just kind of a rough, patchy looking thing. But if you leave the scale big and tile it like I do here, it brings the size down. You don't have to pull as many strokes. And the biggest thing is make sure you're on not on not on dot, but on grab, and grab dynamic radius, whichever one. But here you can see that I'm doing both sides of it, and you can see you have that hard line. You're not going to want that. So I just wanted to show that to you, that that's not how you want to do this. And you can see it does have kind of a patchwork on there, but it's not going to matter. By the time you pull this up with your gizmo tool in just a second, so you flip the mask, you know, tap on the outside and flip the mask. And here I'm showing you, you can't be off the camera. You need to be in a decent camera view while you're doing this. Tap on the outside, reverse your mask, and pull it up on it. And it makes really nice hair or fur, whatever you want to do. You know, clear the mask, turn it over, do the same thing on the back side. And it's just simple as, you know, you can see here I'm actually dragging the mask up there to the top so it's easier to flip back and forth. So go to the mask brush, do the same thing. Like I said, you have that kind of pixeled pattern on there, but it really doesn't matter once you pull the hair up. Remember to flip your mask by tapping on the screen outside of your object, and it'll flip your mask for you. Like I forgot to do it on that one, and it does make a difference because it pulls weird. And those square patterns are more evident with the mask on, but once you have it off, it just kind of looks like a modeled pattern. And it totally depends on what kind of alpha you have, if it's a little bit smoother alpha or not. So just go around, just pull that on there, and it's nice and easy to do. And most of this, you know, the sides actually end up being a little more patterned, but by the time you put the wings on, you don't even notice it. So it just depends on what your object is and how detailed you want it to be. You know, this is just a quick sculpt and something different that you guys can learn and hopefully use on yours for something. So have fun with these masking. You know, I don't know that enough people use the masking this way. It makes it a lot easier to use. I'd used during the sculpt I used a lot of masking techniques, and it just makes it a lot faster and easier. Now here on the head, it's the same thing, and I left this one slow too, just so you can see it again. And you know, on something small and round like that, and even though it still has that little bit of a pattern, all you have to do is double tap your masking on it again, and it kind of goes away. And remember, you can always twist and turn, you know, with your pencil once you hit your mask, so you can always change the pattern up a little bit. Remember, tap on the outside, flip your mask, and then pull the hair. And by the time you put a little paint on this that's a flatter paint, it looks like fur pretty quickly. And it's a technique you can use for a lot of things. Put a texture on something really quickly. So here I'm just doing some quick legs. I was just going to leave them off, but I decided I should do something. So I did end up doing these fairly cartoony as well, just kind of staying with the theme. And I just put 3 toes on them instead of all 5, because that would just look, I thought it would look a little strange trying to crowd 5 on there, so I just did a thumb and 2 fingers. So just doing a rough shape out with the tube tool. And it's another thing that's, I'm not sure people use enough, because the tube tool is very, very easy to use, and you can make so many shapes so quickly with it. That and the lathe tool they're both really unique tools on here. So at this point, I decided that I was, you know, this was going to be running long. This took me about an hour and a half. So I saved the whole bat, went in, created a new scene, and imported the bat into it, because I knew I wanted to combine all the parts and just do a quick posing with the wings and the head. So I didn't want to do that with the one I had, because I may work on it a little bit more for the final one at the end of the week. So here I've kind of finally got it all put together, and you can see up in the screen there a little bit on the scene menu that you have those lines and different icons in there now, and this is all the new setup for the parent and children you can do. It's really, really nice. And here I'm just going through and finishing some labeling so I know what's what, and I've already voxel merged the wing and the arms together at this point, so you can just shape your wings, use the move brush, and just move things around. You know, you can't get too crazy, it'll stretch it out too much. But here I'm just kind of playing with it a little bit, trying to figure out the wings, where I want to put them. Probably should have moved one of the legs a little bit, and I may do that on my final pose too. But here you'll see, right here, I notice is like, oh, I don't have the ears labeled, so I labeled the ears. And then you can see here how you can just drag up and click into the parent object that you want to use. So I'm putting the eyes and the ears all in there, and then you can just click on the head and move the whole thing at once. It's like grouping, but you have so much more versatility with this. I can't wait to show you guys a new video with this later when they actually release it for everybody, to show you how to pose with this, because you can actually do, I mean, you could pose each individual finger and thumb and everything joint on here, and then when you move the parent, they all move together. And however you pose it, you can change your articulation joint at each one. So like you can, if you move the end finger and then the second knuckle and the third knuckle on a hand, and you move the one closest to the hand, they'll all move together as one. So it's really nice. This is the last little bit. I'm just doing a little bit of posing on the wing, and because the wing is still separate from the leg at this point. So just kind of doing a quick little pose and then throw it in the turntable, and that's it. Oh, I did fix a little paint on there and then threw it on the turntable. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys are having fun doing these videos, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. All right, thanks.